we're going to introduce now Master Deputy Burdine and Deputy Joy to tell us about Operation Safe Outcomes. This is an incredible program that I'm so happy that our Sheriff's Department has decided to keep going and really lean into. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. So, Master Deputy Burdine, I'll let you take it from here and tell everybody about it.
Thank you so much, Chris. First off, I want to say thanks to the Barbara Stone Foundation, Croc Center, Greenville CAN, and also Carolina Drive-In. They know I like foods. That we definitely had some good food today. So we're so grateful that we had an opportunity to come and discuss with y'all a great resource that we have at the Sheriff's Office that really affects the community that we serve. So just to give you a little background about me, my name is Justin. I'm a Master Deputy at Greenville County Sheriff's Office. I've been there for 20 years. The majority of my career at the Sheriff's Office was in uniform patrol, working the road, getting dispatched to 911 calls, and just having an everyday shift. So in 2018, I went to property crimes and investigated grand larcenies and burglaries and all of that. So I have a daughter and I have a son. And in 2020, my son was diagnosed with autism. So there was questions if he would really walk or talk or really do anything. And so I guess my life kind of got flipped upside down a little bit, and there was a lot of stress in my life with work, home, all of that stuff. So I switched schedules at work so I could have a better schedule for therapies, ABA, and all that sort of stuff. And so then I went to the school enforcement. So now I'm a part of school enforcement. I have a great schedule for the lets me take care of my son as well as my daughter, and you know, we have a great relationship at work that allows me to do that. So since my son got diagnosed with autism, you know, in these 3 years, I've kind of done a lot of reflecting on my career here at the Sheriff's Office, and looking back on some of the calls that I've been to, some of the interactions that I've had with different kinds of people, and just kind of had a thought process of when I went to a call and had some sort of interaction with somebody that didn't talk the way I talk, didn't hear the way I heard things, was just a little different. What was their perception of me? Did I leave that call in a positive manner? Was there positive outcomes for that? Was it negative? What was their attitude towards me? What was their family's perception of me? Did it cause more stress that I was there, not acting a certain way, or not knowing how to talk to somebody? What was the overall perception of both of those people, that family, to this deputy? And I got to tell you, some of them was very poor, and the way that I interacted with them, it was not. There was a lot of changes that could have been made. The way I talked, the way I understood, the knowledge that I had about certain disabilities could have been a whole lot different. That would have made that whole entire scene safer, more positive, and just an all-around more effective experience for everybody involved. So now it brings us up to this point. So since my son was diagnosed with autism, I've done countless hours of research on different kind of behaviors. They're exhibited with autism. Different kind of research on other kinds of disabilities that go along with autism. Different kind of therapies that are needed. All this other sort of stuff that we've done research on. And the time came for the sheriff's office to do some training, to train our agency about autism, the interaction part of it, of a deputy going and speaking to somebody that may be involved with autism. Just different kind of approach suggestions, what to do if you're going into a call blind, that you don't know really what's going on, but you find out later that somebody is autistic or maybe have another mental disability. How do we react to that? And how do we make that scene safe? So me and Deputy Joy here, we got together and we took it upon ourselves to train our agency about autism interactions with law enforcement. So that's what we did. And also in the process is Operation Safe Outcomes. Okay, so we'll go over how this all fits. So Operation Safe Outcomes, it's a voluntary registry that either family members or caregivers can voluntarily enter their loved ones onto a registry or database, if you will, to let law enforcement know critical information that we're going to need to interact well with somebody in case of emergencies. So the way it works is that I know y'all have things on your tables now, but there's a QR code on there, or you could go to gcso.org, which is the Sheriff's Office website, or you could go to greenvillecounty.org, which is the Greenville County's website. And you can find Operation Safe Outcomes over there. And then you can create an account, and it's all free, completely free. You don't have to pay for anything. And so once you're there, your family member or caregiver can upload all kinds of information that's critical. It's for anybody that's vulnerable, that may have some sort of mental disability, like Alzheimer's, bipolar,
PTSD.
do I?
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD, anything that makes them vulnerable. They may have a tendency to wander, or something like that. Maybe they're they can't see. All of that information is critical for law enforcement to have a very good, safe interaction. Because when you get a law enforcement officer that has no history with this person, and they're going off a first initial encounter, it's a very difficult situation to really understand and talk and receive and get information back and forth from somebody that may have a mental disability. So this system helps deputies and first responders get that information to each other, to where we can really safely and effectively interact with somebody that may be under a mental disability. So the family or caregiver, they can provide pictures, and then all of that information is uploaded into the system. And then once it gets transferred into our CAD system, which is our computer-aided dispatch, and everybody, all first responders in Greenville County have access to our same CAD, our same dispatch, our same computer-aided dispatch system. And so that means Greenville County Sheriff's Office, Greenville City Police, all the municipality law enforcement in Greenville County, all fire departments, and all EMS. They all have the same system. So whenever we get dispatched to a specific address, then this information will already populate into this call. So the deputy, the first responder, all that sort of stuff can hear or see all this information, and they can go ahead and formulate a plan to kind of do a good, safe interaction with this person. And the way that whenever we do get dispatched to calls, that's one of the deputies' first things that they're doing is they're going ahead and trying to formulate a plan, formulate ideas as to where they're gonna, how they're gonna get to the call first off, what they're gonna be looking for, different things that may be involved in the call itself, and then trying to formulate decisions and plans about how to act when they get there. So this goes right along with that. So whenever they get this call, they're already thinking, hey, you know, we've got somebody that may be autistic here at this address. And, you know, he doesn't like these kind of things, but he does like this type of stuff. So maybe I can interact with him with the stuff that he does like. So the things that we see as deputies or first responders is up here. I don't know if everybody can see them, but one, it's a picture. You can upload pictures, the most recent picture that you have. You also have address, primary contact numbers, secondary contact numbers, addresses as well, primary hospital information, so that whenever, if something is really wrong, we can kind of transfer that information to another first responder to help get the help that we need. Trigger words to stay away from, approach suggestions. So we already know how to really, how to approach somebody and get the conversation started. Some clothes that they normally wear. You can also add bodies of water that are nearby, in case somebody likes to wander and they may drift off to the water. Emails, all the pertinent and critical information that we may need to really get somebody the help they need and to make a safe interaction is on this form. We've also uploaded school information. So if there's a situation to where somebody needs to put where they go to school, then we also have that as well. So how it helps is basically within 911, a lot of times when somebody's calling 911, they're calling because something is very bad wrong. And when the dispatchers are talking to the person on 911, sometimes it gets very, very chaotic. And some of the information can be very much lost. And some of the information is critical that may get lost. So this way, if somebody's calling 911 to report something very wrong, then if they're already on this page, then all this information is already going to be received. So the dispatcher and then the person calling, they're gonna not have to have or fight through chaos to get the critical information that we're gonna need, because there's a 911 call that's gonna be coming up, and it's a very good call. This person was already on the system, and the information was able to be received without really answering too many questions. But whenever that dispatcher says that, you know, their own safe outcomes and all that, there was multiple deputies, multiple first responders on the backside of that going to what this form says. So they were searching different things on the backside immediately. So as soon as it comes to all that, whenever somebody's dispatched and all of that information comes to their computer, they're looking at it and they're responding to what that information is. So it cuts the time completely in half. And plus you're having all of that information that's been sent during a state of calmness instead of, in a chaos 911 call. So before we play this, some of the calls that we really respond to, one of them is the elopements, and we'll get to that here in a minute. And, but you got suspicious activity, unusual activity, medical emergencies. Somebody may be having a seizure. somebody may be threatening suicide. All of that comes from a lot of mental disabilities. So the more information that we have about this, then the better off that we can respond to those kind of calls. We had one recently where it was a trespassing type of call. There was a guy in the neighborhood that was autistic, and he was fixated on some certain landscapes, somebody else's property. So he would go in their property and just sit and look at stuff. And, you know, that person kind of knew that he was autistic, so he didn't really, you know, want to do anything else about it. But we met with those people, and we made a great relationship with them. So it's just a matter of knowing all this beforehand, so the deputies can act a certain way. They have different ways of interactions. So we'll go ahead and get to this 911 call.
I'm calling because my son, he's autistic. He woke up early this morning and he likes to get out of the house and wander around a lot. And he walked out of the house and I can't find him. I don't have yes, ma'am. Nehemiah Mojica. Spell it for me. Neacamiaa. What was the last name? Mojica, Mojica. I have him registered for that thing online. Last time he got out, the police gave me a voucher. Okay, yeah. This was like 11 after question, but you need to ask me. Did you watch Black and White? He was wearing a black pants shirt, and I think he was wearing his underwear because he was asleep like that, and he doesn't put shoes on, so he probably doesn't have shoes on. Hold on, this one. There are alarm just going off. They just won't go. The house that he went to yesterday, right here, they're gone. Well, the people that was out here yesterday. All right, I do see the thing outcome. I see a picture of him. I got his figure by Bubba. Yes, he goes by Bubba. That's either already on the way, so I'm not throwing them down, okay? I got that he's 30 foot 5 inches. Just about your skin, okay? And then he weighs about 52 pounds. Yes, ma'am. Because I just when did you last take a week? About 5:45, I heard him a week, and I know he likes to get out of the house, so I put the couch in front of the door, and he laid back down, and he said sleeping, and so I was like, okay, he laid down, so he had to have gone down, but I tried looking for him before I called you. He likes to run to the neighbor's house and down the street a lot, so there's like 3 of us out here trying to look for him. Okay. So the neighbors are looking for him here. Yeah, my aunt and my boyfriend is looking for him. He went the opposite direction. What he looks like, I see that he's nonverbal. Yes, ma'am, he's nonverbal. Doesn't matter. He might repeat what they ask him or say to him, but he doesn't just speak. Yes, ma'am. Magdalena? Yes, ma'am. Ma'am. Yes, that movie help because it's like with the law. But even okay? I'm really glad you got out the state outcomes. That's very helpful. I'm just so scared because he likes cars, so he likes to jump in people's cars, likes to get cars. Yeah, I think Jesus likes to jump in people's cars. I just want to, fire myself forever. So what is this? The front of the trailer park, the Parker Code apartments around the corner, because last time he ran off, he, yeah, and they're there and they're looking there, okay? They're gonna look there too. We're almost there, we're like right down the street, we're walking towards the apartment. Want to see if anybody has called in for him. Yeah, I can see that, nobody's called in, and when they're called in, you think, not yet. So I called them, you can get your agency call. Yeah, my disabilities and everything comes in there. And then, I have to like put them in front of the house so that I could hear him if he had to move the couch. And he must have picked up the bin. He said that he's going, right down to Dudley Street. Where are you right now? Where's the particle apartment, looking for it? Okay, thank you. Then, all right. Well, I think we can, you got several that city over there, we're gonna try to find them, okay? Okay, thank you. Bye.
Alright, so. We were able to, once the deputy got there, and we got some more information, we were able to find, her loved one, he was safe. So, but all of the while that one deputy was coming to the initial scene, there were multiple different deputies outside paying attention to what this form said. And we were going to different places, looking at different things and doing an active search. So, and I'll tell you, that 911 caller, she's very stressed in her life. Movements, she's having to take her furniture and kind of barricade herself in at night. And that happens. It's very stressful. I see the stress personally at home with me. And we don't need to add stress onto an already stressful situation. That's why this kind of resource is very, very valuable and critical. So at any time that we do a missing persons, whether it's an elopement with an autistic child or an adult or anytime there's a missing persons report, it's a very extensive search. It's a very extensive investigation. We're checking local hospitals, local police jurisdictions, the fire department, EMS, and all the local law enforcement agencies are also assisting us. Even highway patrol, they're out there doing the search for us. We've got our bloodhounds involved with it. We've got our K9 or our drones. We have a very, very large drone team at the sheriff's office that are very, very successful in what they do. And so they're out there helping with things. We've got our helicopter that's also very successful in what they do. And we also have Code Red. I don't know if anybody here knows really too much about it, but it almost acts like a reverse 911 system. There's a mobile app that goes along with it, and you can put your number, your cell number, what have you on there. And then whenever dispatch sends out Code Red, then it goes to the system and it notifies everybody that's in a radius of whatever we're looking for. Description of missing people, major events, incidents that are happening. So Code Red is a very valuable tool to help with locating missing persons. Again, I kind of touched on it earlier, but it's a countywide program. The sheriff's office, all of our law enforcement municipalities have this capability, have this system. Fire departments, and also EMS. So a deputy or a law enforcer doesn't have to go to this call for a fireman or EMS personnel to come and get this treatment and this same resource. So you can call EMS directly and have them come to a specific address. And if your loved one is attached to the system, then it's going to pop up only on EMS. If law enforcement gets called later to go to the same address, then once it gets on the CAD or our dispatch center, then the law enforcement is going to get that as well. So it's very, very, very valuable.
At the Greenville County Sheriff's Office, we recognize that the needs of our community changes. And because of that, we're always looking for ways to better train and educate our deputies. That is extremely important because it's not a question of if an organization is going to encounter a family with autism, but when. We are working with Champion Autism Network in order to provide new tools for our deputies so they can better recognize when they're having an interaction with somebody that may have autism. The sheriff's office has printed cards, and they say on those cards, I have autism. On the back of the card, it specifies a family member and a phone number that a deputy might be able to call in the case that they have an interaction with somebody with autism. If that person is struggling in order to communicate or they're afraid, that's an automatic tool for that deputy to hold that card to make a phone call to a family member in order to better facilitate that police interaction. We're so excited to partner with the Greenville County Sheriff's Office because this gives them an opportunity to serve the residents in Greenville County and promote an inclusive community.
That's, that was after the end of our training of our agency. And, so this is very, very critical. When my son got diagnosed, I was like, what's currently, what is it looking like? How is he gonna be able to function in life? Is he gonna be able to throw a ball to me? Are we gonna be able to play catch? Something like that. How's it gonna be later in life? Let's say he's driving a car and he gets either in a wreck or he gets stopped by the police. Is anxiety gonna take over? How's that interaction gonna be? So that's why this is very, very critical and imperative that we have this kind of training for law enforcement. We have this kind of resources that the public, the community that we serve can get on this system to help us interact with y'all. These cards for almost like for nonverbal autistic individuals, it's almost like their voice. Because if they have a card, you can have it in lanyard and you can just wear it around. And if a law enforcement officer or first responder or something like that has some sort of interaction, they see it. I mean, we don't really have to do too much talking. I mean, we see it. Every single thing that's on the front of that card. If you could go back one, the trouble communicating, may not respond to verbal commands, may be sensitive to lights and sounds, and I may not like to be touched. That's every single thing that a law enforcement officer does every single day, multiple times a day. So and with the statistics that are out there now with CDC, it's like 1 in 36 people, and I can promise you within one single day, one law enforcement officer is making contact with way more than 36 people. So it's very, very imperative that this type of information gets out to the public and also other law enforcement officers. These statistics here is also from the CDC. And I'll be honest, me and Deputy Joy was looking at this the other day, and in South Carolina is in the top category of this. Which is, I mean, it's bad. It shouldn't be like that. How do we prevent drownings? How do we get to a body of water before an autistic person gets there and falls in, don't know how to swim? How do we do that? And a lot of it is based off of this system. Because if you have on that system that he's drawn to water, which a lot of autistic individuals already are, then if you have listed bodies of water that are nearby your house, then it makes it so much easier and so much more effective for a law enforcement officer or any first responder to get to that place before this drowning occurs. The 29% of wandering is happening from classrooms and schools. I see that. I do. And I'll tell you that our school district, our administration, and our resource officers that are throughout the schools in this county, they do a wonderful job of trying to get that number down. They respond to it very, very well. So, but that does, I mean, that very much happens. They'll get in a room, a classroom, and their anxiety may take over, and they just bolt out of a class. So, but yeah, those numbers are kind of alarming. And 90% of the accidental drowning leads to lethal outcomes, to death. So that's bad. All right, let's go to the next. So, So this is where our partnership with the community, with governmental agencies, non-governmental agencies, nonprofits, this is where this system is really gonna, do well. Because y'all have the ability, y'all have these caseloads every single day that, that sometimes we as law enforcement officers don't have access to. So if we can get a partnership with y'all who has direct access to somebody that could get this program or those cards, that would help an interaction and become safe. That's our main goal. We strive at the sheriff's office to make every interaction as safe as possible. And like I told you before, I mean, I've been here for 20 years. This kind of resource and this kind of information, the trainings, was not available. There was things that we just didn't click in our minds. And this is just, and there's a lot more officers, deputies, first responders that are like me with a lot of years of experience that, you know, could have handled things a whole lot different with interactions. So that's our main thing. And also on y'all's table, we have the flyer for Operation Safe Outcomes, and we also have the autism card. They both have the QR codes that you can scan, and then it goes directly to the Operation Safe Outcomes website. So with that, I appreciate everybody's time here. So does anybody have any questions? Okay.
I actually have two questions. One would be, I think it is fabulous that Greenville County, is doing this. I live in Anderson County. And so, you know, while I might go ahead and register my child with this, because we're in Greenville County all the time, are y'all working with other, police departments for them to have the same information? I'm wondering how much could this, kind of registry cross counties? So if I'm in Anderson County, they might say, wait a minute, this kid's been registered.
I don't know, logistically, I don't know how to do that right now, because our Greenville County, all of Greenville County, EMS, fire, municipalities, and the sheriff's office all have the same computer-aided dispatch. And that's how this system right now logistically strives and breathes, basically. I don't know how many other agencies are surrounding us have that.
Joyful day, Deputy Joy with Greenville County Sheriff's Office. Just to give you a little bit more information on your question, it's by address. So your address in Anderson County, that's going to pull up through Anderson County's CAD system. And Anderson County has one. It's not the same as Greenville County. However, they mirror each other. Each of the counties are creating their own so that they can have one. We don't have one that's a national registry at this time, or even throughout the state of South Carolina. With that, as it grows and they're able to technology is able to start talking to each other in that way, there may be something in the future, but there has to be something as of right now to put in place for those that are here in Greenville County, especially when they're responding to this location where that person lives, to get things going. And putting them on that, putting that information in there is pertinent so that they can bring them home safely or locate them. A lot of the times that families go through those same situations that she did, she had added her son on that the week prior when that happened. When we have loved ones or we are the caregivers for someone, if it's someone with autism, dementia, they all have these quirks about where they want to go or where they believe they should be at. And when they leave, it's without anyone knowing, so they don't know which direction those things are going. So at that, it helps us, allows us to have that information, but when they come back and it's been a safe return, that information is given to them. My captain receives these end of reports, every week, and she's like, here, and she sends them over to me because it's recontacting those same ones who had reported them missing and that they left from the house because they didn't enter them into safe outcomes. They heard about it from the deputy. Deputy gives them the information, register them just like they did from that phone call. Deputy provides that information, but they're so excited about having that loved one back. And they're so excited about being there. This right here is out the window. These things are gone. So it's us reaching out and building those partnerships that can get these people on a calmer state to where these are preventative measures. You're telling them, you know, we want to do this for the health of them, because it helps them understand this when they don't have all this emergency of, you know, we have some that are, whether they're the spouse, what's the next thing that we have to do? I have to make an appointment with the doctor. They're not thinking about these things. So then I'll make a call to them, ask them how things are going. Let me email you some more information so when you're at the doctor's office or when you're at the next place and you're sitting there, you can complete this. So it just takes it to get to that calmer situation so that they're not worried at that time when they're so relieved to have them back. That's why building that partnerships with the different resources, the experts who understand who we need to get in contact with can lead us in that direction, because this isn't to promote something that is not going to be active and continue to grow in the future.
I have one other question. With the, whenever you showed the slide that had like the different information that is entered in the registry.
Yeah.
Is there anything about like maybe what my, license plate number is or something like that? So that way, like if you pull me over, and right now I'm gonna be in a panic because you pulled me over. But, and I hope to God it's one of you guys and I say, but if not, and say it bolts out of the car, you know, he gets panicked and he bolts out of the car. So that way you might know, she might have a passenger that has autism and he may respond like this.
So it's not gonna pull up, it's not gonna pull up when your license plate was red on a traffic stop or something like that. It's made for the location when they're responding to that location, because a little flag comes up and it allows that deputy to know, or I'm sorry, it allows dispatch to know, okay, this location is on safe outcomes. So that when that's going on. There are some that have suggested at different meetings that we've attended, they've taken those cards and they put them on the car, on the vehicle, and it allows. I know when I just walked up, when I first got here, there was someone in a young man in the minivan, and on there, his mom had information about autism. There's someone in the vehicle with autism. So those are the things that I was like, wow, that really sits there. And I was like, where's your mom at? Because I wanted to give her a card. You know? But it was really good because I was able to, you know, be like, yeah, give them a smile. So there was no fear or anything like that. Because you don't know what's going to trigger anyone. So I want to give her a card. So doing those kinds of things. But why did I know that? Because that was on there. When you're talking about, you know, at the location of that house, we have also other first responders that are going there for a medical emergency. If that caregiver or that other person who's living in that house, something's going on. But what if this person has PTSD or bipolar or a number of things that they may feel you're coming into their house and going to, that's somebody that, you know, could pose danger as you're trying to give help to that other one. So it allows anybody that's coming to say, okay, well, you know what? I know how to talk with this one, or even calm that one down. Because if they're nonverbal, how are you able to even communicate at that time? So all of those things play into being prepared to get whatever that emergency situation is at that time.
Yeah, just to put a little plug in your ear, I love that suggestion, and I don't know anything about technology or all the people that make these big decisions, but I think that's an excellent idea. If you put a plug in whoever's ear that is on, who does the traffic stops,
Yeah.
if the license plate could be added, just because I know if I'm stopped, and my kids can have some autism as well, and he's probably gonna be like, what's going on? So I'm gonna be busy calming him down, so when the officer comes, I'm like, please, no, I want to respect you, but I gotta calm my child down too. I don't want the officer to think I'm disrespecting him or her. I'm just trying to calm my child down so that I can make sure I do what I need to do. So maybe just put a bug in whoever's ear that
Yeah.
might be a great idea, just to add that in for traffic stops, like being able to, I don't know how all that works, but I mean, I think as a parent, that would be it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and all of those goes into what this is being used for. So the privacy of what this is used for on that, the medical emergency, mental illness or disorder, disability emergency side on that side. Not to have as a license plate reader for everyone to, know what vehicle this is, who's in that vehicle. That information just goes based on providing that help for those that are vulnerable for that location. And with having that, it keeps it from being one of those things where, okay, everybody has all this kind of information where it can be pulled up for anything. This is basically for that home where they're responding to in that emergency. When it comes to things like that, preventative areas are, if they're gonna have the license plate, you have something on that license plate, because on the borders of your license plate where that holds it, to have those little markers, because as working in traffic and doing those things, those are all the things that they look for. They're looking at the stickers, they're looking at all of those things to what type of vehicle is this that we're pulling over. Maybe it's not even in your name and it's in somebody else's name, but it's a woman driving. So they're looking at everything that is on there. And just like I said about that lady who even had that when I'm approaching the vehicle, it's on her side. On the driver, it's on the driver's side, on the passenger door. So we're able to understand what's going on in that vehicle. Me having a child that he's 32 and, kind of my numbers. And I had to deal with, he's had autism and I've had to deal with, teaching him differently, because coming here to Greenville, we didn't have this 10 years ago. We didn't have all of these resources, because a lot was on Down syndrome, because you could see that, versus autism where it was not visible. So there was a lot of training that went into him, and I had to leave back and forth from the state of Florida where I came from and come back and forth so that I could get him the occupational therapy and the things that he needed so that he could be able to live through life, because it's not going to be the same way every single time. So, or every single day, and the encounters that had to come in place. So there are a lot of things that had to go into the training of what I did for him. And the patience that I had when it came to dealing with people and understanding, because I could see, okay, well, that doesn't seem right, the way that interaction is. So falling into this right here, why it is important, because if they're coming to the location that he's living at now, why wouldn't they, I want them to have the understanding of what's going to happen when they're walking into that door and an emergency is happening, and he is not able to really process things as they're going on in that emergency.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, two questions. If you don't have a ready, could you make a magnet that's official from GPS, whatever? Could you make one that's official that we could have on the car? And then also, is there something you can have in the window of our house, like on the very front window, that you guys would recognize? Is there somewhere to do that? And then I had,
There are all kinds of options, but that comes into, where does the funds come from to produce what these different types of things are, where it comes into either magnets or, what they are. Just because we started getting the training into our deputies and starting from April, where we were doing the training so that they can have an understanding of a more in-depth in autism and what that they may encounter. So the cards were our first step in trying to push these out and trying to get these out so that they can get some. So it took us until a month or two ago before we could even get them into the schools. So when you're looking at how long that takes to get there, and we've just gotten to the schools, what's our next step from that?
okay, I have another question similar, but now my brain is.
I'm sorry, no.
I can always make it and try to do it, and then.
You can't, those
My
are,
mind is just like going now, but, okay, my other question, you said, so this could be used for like vulnerable adults and other things too.
yes,
So,
for safe outcomes.
so if you use that though, and it says this on it, how are they gonna know that it's
So
like a
the-
cognitive disability and not autism? Can you still use this?
The safe outcomes on the back of the card, that card that you're holding, the autism card,
Okay,
that's the QR code that's on the back of that autism card so that they can register that child that has autism
okay.
on there.
How
There,
do you do it if you're just an adult with like cognitive issues?
It's
Like you
the
said,
same.
Alzheimer's.
it's the same, you're just
Same
gonna go
QR
to the
code.
same, safe outcomes. That's
Okay.
whatever disability or disorder
Okay,
and or disorder they have.
okay.
Well, if there is any organization that you would like us to come speak to, the ones that are able to train into others, so kind of one of those train the trainers, because if they're able to target those individuals and family members that would hear from your agency that this is a legitimate program that can benefit you, we're willing to come out, bring whatever the cards, bring those things, speak to the professionals that are at these agencies, businesses, corporations, because that kind of communication to get them involved, they'll believe it from there before saying, okay, well, let me take that step, and then I have to read about all these things.
So I'd just like to say thank you again to Master Deputy Burdine and Deputy Joy for coming here and presenting today. I think what you all are doing is incredibly critical, and we're eternally grateful that that's a program that we have here in our area, and we're appreciative of your personal connection and sharing that with the group. I really want to say thank you for that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, that's all.
This isn't just limited to the ones with the disorders that are through mental. This comes into disabilities when you're talking about those that are in wheelchairs, that are blind, that are deaf, all of those things, they can be entered in there also, because when an emergency happens, whether it's coming to their house, that's that emergency information that deputy should be prepared for. What if they've got to carry them out of there? What if they cannot hear because they don't know that this is going on and they have to get out of that location? So just so it's not just limited to what that is.
Well, yeah, thank you all very much. We appreciate it again. Yeah, another round of applause. Absolutely.